Good evening, and thanks so much for joining the Gogos Director's Cut. Tonight we'll be talking about the band's new documentary, which, as you guys know, it premiered last week on Showtime. We'll also be celebrating the most successful all-female band of all time. And I know that there are more than a few of you in the audience for whom you can say that the Gogos changed your life. Maybe Beauty and the Beat was your first album. Maybe they were your first concert. Maybe like my friend Haley Hill, who lives in Mobile, Alabama, the Gogos made you pick up an instrument and start a band called the Stop Stops. True story. As for me, I can honestly say that if not for the Gogos, I probably wouldn't have even thought it a thing, and I would not have even have thought to become a journalist, a music journalist, and now music broadcaster, and also author. So let me introduce myself. My name is Lori Majewski, and I host a few shows over on SiriusXM. I host Feedback, which is the morning show that just this morning, we talked a lot about this documentary. That's on the Volume channel 106. And then I also host a show called Fierce Women in Music. And over on First Wave, I host a show called Lust for Lists. But enough about me. Tonight is about these women. So let me introduce the women that you really want to hear from, the Gogos. So first, I've got the woman who said yes to being a fill-in bassist, even though she'd never played bass before. 3 cocaine-fueled days later, she'd not only taught herself bass, but a couple of Go-Go songs as well, maybe a couple dozen. And then she became a permanent member of the band. She co-wrote Vacation and Head Over Heels. And now she has her own autobio, the excellent All I Ever Wanted, a rock and roll memoir. Everyone, this is Miss Kathy Valentine. Hi, Kathy.
Hey, Lori. I'm so glad you could do this with us. We adore you. And of course, we adore all you fans as well. Thank you all for being here.
And you're in Austin, right?
Yeah, Austin, Texas, in the house.
Representing. All right, next I've got the Go-Go who wrote or co-wrote most of the songs on Beauty and the Beat, including one of the first 45s that I ever bought, We Got the Beat. By the way, just this morning, I got a children's book in the mail, the most adorable illustrated book that uses the lyrics to We Got the Beat. It's called We Got the Beat. It's coming out soon. And she also wrote a lot of songs for Belinda Carlisle, and in the Go-Go's, she plays lead guitar, keyboards, sings backing vocals, and in real life, as we learned in this documentary, she is a survivor. Everyone, please welcome Kathy, Miss charlottecaffey.
Hi.
Hey, Charlotte, where are you today?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Well, that makes sense, Go-Go girl. All right, next I've got the woman who literally has the beat in this band. And that's really saying something. There aren't a lot of women drummers out there in the world. And she really stood out when she sat in as the drummer. Do you remember this? Who remembers that she sat in with Aha on American Bandstand? I'm that kind of freak that I remember that. And in this documentary, I learned that she's co-written songs for Miley Cyrus and Selena Gomez, because even millennials know how fierce this woman is. Everyone, please welcome Ginaschock. Gina!
Thank you, guys. This is exciting.
Where are you?
I'm sitting in my TV room with my dog.
Are you
in San Francisco?
San Francisco. We're all over the place tonight. I'm in upstate.
We are.
All right. Well, this morning I got a tweet that said, "I never knew the woman who sings that song Rush Hour was in the Go-Go's." Like, thank God for this documentary, right? That is proof we needed this documentary. She also sang with Sparks. She was Joan of Arc. I'd say in real life, because she kind of is, but also in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But today we are celebrating her as a co-founder of the Go-Go's. She is their rhythm guitarist. She is a background vocalist. She's the co-writer of Our Lips Are Sealed and their new single, Club Zero. And I know on Zoom, no one can hear you scream, but please, everyone at home in your living room, scream for Jane Weedlin. Is Jane home? Is Jane?
Hi!
Oh,
there you are.
Hey, Jane, where are you?
Hi. I'm in the Bay Area.
In the Bay Area. All right.
Do I look like a ghost? Oh, there I go.
You did.
Yes.
Oh my God. Sorry, guys. Okay, go on, whatever.
Well, we have
You have a
another
green light?
person. We have
I
another.
don't have a ring light.
We don't have a green light.
No,
No, a
ring light.
ring light.
You have a radio
on.
light.
Let me shut these shades. I'm so sorry, you guys. I looked fine in the
That looks
rehearsal and
good.
then it
That looks
changed.
Better. That's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very.
How do I make this stay? Okay, is that better? Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Cool. Well, we've got one more person that we want to introduce. She has a long history in film. She's worked on such documentaries as The Eagles, History of the Eagles. We talk about that on my show all the time, on my morning show. Gonzo, which is about Hunter S. Thompson, the recent Laurel Canyon doc, and the TV series. And somehow she convinced all 5 members of the Gogos and past members and their past manager and numerous others to come together for this documentary, The Gogos. Everyone, please welcome the film's director, Alison Ellwood.
Oh, yay.
Wow, this is a fierce, fierce group of women. And somehow I think someone's missing. Where is Belinda Carlisle?
Babe, she's in Thailand.
She's
I
just
was
showing
like,
up.
who is she talking about? Who's she talking about? Who's missing?
She's in Thailand, but not on vacation. She just lives there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning there, so it's a little bit hard for her to be here today. But she sends her love to everybody, as do we.
Well, that is a rock and roll hour, isn't it? 2 o'clock in the morning.
Not
Not
the
tomorrow.
Gogos.
Back in the day. Well, the documentary, The Gogos, thank you so much, Alison. It came out on Friday. And right before we came live to all you guys out there in the world, thank you to all of you all over the place who are listening and watching, by the way. We were starting to talk a little bit about the reaction. And I realized that the premiere was back in January at Sundance, but this was the first time that really fans could see it in mass. I was wondering if there's anything you wanted to share from the reactions that you guys have been getting out there in the world.
It's just amazing.
It's been overwhelming. I mean, people I haven't heard from in years have been getting in contact with me, and it's really actually very cool.
40 years later, this is really fantastic to be happening in our careers. And we are very grateful to Alison Ellwood for doing a great job of telling our story.
Well, I guess that's where we should start, really. Alison,
Yeah.
You're the one, your prior work is so diverse. And, the music docs that you've worked on, they also suggest that your music taste is really diverse. So the first thing that I thought is, was she a Gogos fan? Did she know about the Gogos? How did you get involved with this?
Well, I absolutely was a Gogos fan always. I've always loved the music. What I didn't know was the extent of their punk roots. So that was really fun for me to dive into all of that and learn about that, because I would not have ever considered myself to be much of a punk fan, but it's been so fun to explore it. But luckily for me, they wanted me to do this. So, and once they chose me, then I had to convince them to actually do it.
Well, right, because I mean, this is a group of headstrong women and none of them go with the flow. How, at different times, were there different members who were like, yeah, I don't feel like doing this? I mean, how long did it take to get this thing made?
Yeah, I mean,
A year.
Yeah. Yeah, it was up and down for a bit, but we finally bonded over all of our mutual love of animals and rescuing animals. And I think once we realized we had that in common, there was just a trust that we had that came with that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, as someone who's a vegan here in the room, I am so applauding all that. And I think this is so great that animals brought us all together. But I have to think that it must have been really hard, because what I love about this documentary is it celebrates your sisterhood as a band. But come on, there's a Pandora's box here that, like, you guys have all made up and you all get along so wonderfully now. Was there a nervousness about going back down some of these rabbit holes?
Absolutely,
Yes,
because of
Right.
the previous documentary that VH1 did, it was so grim, and they just brought up so many horrible things, and it wasn't like a celebration of the band at all. So of course we were really reluctant to do it again. But on the other hand, I think we came to a conclusion, all 5 of us, that if we were going to do it again, we were going to be really, really honest. So it was walking that thin line between like, well, we don't want to hurt anybody, even hurt ourselves, right? But we also really want to tell the truth. So because Alison's so amazing, I think she got to that. She really got that for us. It was really important.
It was important to me too, so.
And we felt that, we felt like almost like the drama had kind of, eclipsed the joy and the kind of exciting things that we had done together. And it was like everybody seemed to know that we broke up, and reunion this, reunion that, breakup, drugs, this and that. But nobody seemed to like really ever give equal weight to all the good stuff. So we weren't afraid of talking about things. We just didn't want to dwell on it. It's been focused on a lot.
And also, if you're in a 40,
what the heck? There was nothing about the music in the past. And like, we're a band. Talk about music.
That happens to women a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just talked about that on my morning show this morning. Like we had a woman caller who said, I just feel like the Gogos, we've never really focused on them as musicians. And she was happy to see that this documentary did just that. And it's like, duh, you're a band. But as we saw with things like the Rolling Stone, your first Rolling Stone cover, being women who play instruments comes with baggage.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I still think it's crazy because there's more women on the planet than men, and yet we are still like marginalized, which is cuckoo. So I think a lot of it is that now in 2020, I feel like a lot of women and men are we're taking the power back basically, which is obviously a lot of what the movie talks about, but then especially a lot of what our new song, Club Zero, talks about.
Well overdue.
And this is your first song in how long, Club Zero?
19 years.
years.
No, it was 19, I think 19 years. And like getting back and writing, and, everyone was writing and everyone was submitting songs, and then we, got down to one, then we got in, at that what you see in the documentary, that was the first time we played that song, and it just fell together. So it was meant to be.
Were there nerves? Or were you so propelled? I'm assuming you saw the documentary before you went in to write Club Zero. Did you?
No.
No.
Wow. Okay.
So we wanted
after 19 years, let's do this.
Because it would be cool to have a song that closes the documentary. Like, here's a little present for all you people out there viewing. It's a new song. And we really set out to write an anthem, and something, it was very deliberate what we wrote. So.
And the best part of it, oh, sorry, was somebody talking?
You are.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say the happy ending to all that is when we actually got in the studio, and we took 2 days to knock that song out, and we really hadn't been in the studio for 20 years or have some crazy amount of time. And then we get in there 2 days, we knock it out, and we were all so happy with the way everyone contributed, and the way, I mean, it was classic. It was a classic Gogos moment, filled with all that, little argument back and forth. Oh, I don't like this part, I don't like that. Oh, it's great. All of us ultimately ending up in the same place, loving what we're doing. But there, as you said, I don't know about you guys, but always when I get together with you, I'm always a little nervous because we haven't seen each other that much, Mm-hmm. And when we get together, I'm a little kind of nervous. So, how's everybody going to react to this information or that? But it's always the same. It's always good,
I want to add that my stress dreams are always go-go related.
Me too.
It's like I have these dreams where like we're going to the gig and I don't have my clothes. And I
yes.
a horrible outfit, or or we were supposed to show up and everybody was supposed to have rehearsed on their own to know the song.
Oh, right.
I didn't do it. And
Do you have the?
I just
Do
wake
you
up
have
like,
the one about the? Oh, sorry.
Go
Do you have
ahead.
the one about the rest of the band changed the whole set list and you don't know any of the songs?
like that is the biggest stress dream I have. It's like, that's where my anxiety always works itself out, is in go-go dreams. It's so fun.
How
Yes.
crazy is that? I'm having the exact same thing. I wake up and I'm freaked out, and it feels so real because it is kind of happening. We're back together. We're doing stuff. I mean, we're very active. We've been back together for a long time. But we're really active in the Gogos now. And so, Charlotte, are you having any weird dreams like that?
I'm not having dreams, but I get a lot of anxiety. It's like during the day, or like, I was really nervous about this. I don't know. I mean,
Me too. Me too.
really nervous. But I think it just brings up, because, we're we know how to work, and we know how to focus, and we know how to get things done. And it's just like putting myself in that situation, especially in the middle of this, what we're going on, what the world is going through. It's like, it was extra effort to get myself there, but it's a joy. Like, I mean, being and hanging out with everybody. And by the way, almost every single day, there is a text, that gets started by either one of us, and we send it to all the five of us, and we're texting, and some of it is so hilarious. I can't even tell. We should just make it. We need a new documentary. We need a new part 2.
Or a book, the Gogos, the texts.
Yes,
Yeah.
lots of people have been, seriously, I can't tell you how many people have said when the documentary was over, I kept saying, like, people that were in the room with me, like, there needs to be at least another section to this. Can we, can you guys come up with, and I was like, of course we could, actually,
If there's anybody out there that wants to finance part 2, I'm sure.
We can figure it out.
Go, Kathy, go.
And also, it's like, as Jane said, the music, gets underplayed sometimes, but also one thing that I'm always reminded about in the midst of all the wackiness is that we're professionals. I mean, we are absolute pros, and we can hire a new crew guy or a new sound guy or whatever, and they're always blown away by how professional we are. So that's another side that I don't think people always see. I don't know if it came out in the doc, but it's just.
Well, there was someone from Madness who said, the way you played your instruments, you ran circles around them. I mean, that was a really good moment.
Those guys were great. They were great.
Let's get Alison in on this talk.
Yeah, well,
Alison.
I wanted to ask, there was a moment when Kathy, earlier when we were emailing, and you were talking about, you wanted to discuss your favorite bits in the documentaries and involving your bandmates. Maybe we should start with Alison, because she knew you the way I knew you, as a fan. And I wonder, Alison, if you have a favorite bit about the ladies that you were like, wow, I didn't know they were like this, but they're like this.
Well, I think over the course of the interviewing them and then working on the film, I just came to understand and really respect and love how funny and smart they are. And I knew that they were funny and smart going in, but I didn't know the extent and how tightly knit they are and how they bounce off of one another so quickly when their wit is so sharp. That was always such a fun thing for me to have to work with this. And that's why it was so great to have them come together at the whiskey at the end, because prior to that, we'd interviewed everybody separately. So that was the moment we got to see them actually, I had seen it personally with them, but not in the film. So we got to see them personally interact and how organic that is. So that was great. One of my favorite moments that didn't make the film is a story that was told about how, and I just think it's a testament to their character. They trashed a hotel room one time, not a hotel room, a dressing room in Germany or something, and felt so badly that someone else would have to come in and clean it up after they'd done that they cleaned it themselves, and their road manager said, "You girls are not Motley Crue."
Oh my gosh.
We definitely need a part 2, Alison. We really need a part 2.
I like Kathy's question, the question you came up with, Kathy. I think it was like, wasn't it more specific that
Like,
what scene in the movie would be able to depict one of the girls or whatever, and what, like how they are, how I view them? Was that the the question?
No, it was mainly just like, it's not that hard. Just like each, no, I mean, that would be hard to like say how you viewed them, but just like one of your favorite things of Jane in the movie, one of your favorite things of Belinda, your favorite Gina moment.
Okay, I have one that's my favorite thing of all of us. And I think the Palm Springs Lost Weekend there were so many things wrapped up in that. Our love for Gina, our worry about Gina and her health. We came together, yet we were fucking raving maniacs, and all of everything. There's tux. Oh my God. I can see it, Kathy. Sorry. It's like it showed so many parts of us, but it was a really sweet and very genuine thing that we wanted to do, because we didn't know what was going to happen. We'd never known anyone that was going to have open heart surgery. Yeah. So true to form, we'll just go down to Palm Springs and party our heads off and whatever. But but the other side of that was really sweet and caring. That is also part of who we all are with each other.
And thanks, Charlotte. That was a great thought about that. To sort of wrap that up is when, after I'd had the surgery, everybody had come in and checked in on me, how I was doing after the surgery, before and afterwards. Oh, Kathy brought me guitars. I don't know. It was crazy. And then, what was really crazy was Belinda coming in, and I had tubes hooked up to me. She was doing blow, with a Coke spoon and a bottle and the whole thing. And she said, "You want some?" Which was so insane. But she was dead serious. I mean, that's how cracked up we were, all cracked.
Oh, God, I love
that. I will never forget as long as I live.
my favorites.
She must have been joking. She must have been.
She was not joking. She was starting on a bender.
Dead serious.
She wasn't joking. She wasn't joking.
To party with.
She was serious.
Everybody else was sick of her, so she thought she'd ask you if you wanted to party.
She told that story in her interview as well. She was serious.
Yeah, she didn't bring flowers. She brought what she, was carrying on her person, and yeah. God.
Well, I have some favorite moments of each person, and I also want to ask Gina. I think one of the big things that surprised everybody, and one of my favorite moments, is when you said, "Jane broke up with me," and then there's this wonderful pause, perfect comic timing, and you burst out laughing. And a lot of people were surprised by that. And could you talk a little bit to us about, like, because you've always been very private, and I think we were all surprised that, yet it was one of the best moments in the documentary. It really was.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Come on. That's okay. That was one of my favorites as well, because when I think about that in retrospect, it was such child's play. We were just like, we still are like kids when we get together. But I was very fond of Jane, and I think she was very fond of me when we first met. And I sort of was like, "Jane, take me shopping," because she wanted to take me. She wanted to cut my hair, do the whole thing. Everybody was busy doing what they wanted to do, but I think I was definitely a project of Jane's. Because I was, yeah, in many ways. Wow, I didn't even realize what I said. But I needed help when I got there. I did look like I just come from some crazy place in Baltimore. It was like a John Waters character in one of his films. That's what I look like, kind of cracked, crazy.
I miss your perm. I love it.
Oh my God.
Look like you.
How you guys ever? Thank God I could actually play, because the way I look was completely the polar opposite of what you and Belinda and Charlotte. You guys look completely different.
You look like
But
Bob
you were
Ross.
like having a living Barbie doll to play with. Like just dress you and cut your hair, and
I was ready for that.
Adorable.
I was
You're
ready.
still adorable.
It was a great transformation.
When you had the black hair, that was so cute on you, because your skin's so white.
So cute. Yeah.
I love
So
that
cute.
black hair. I'd look like a hag if I had it now, but hey, it was a great time. It was a great, those days, the beginning of all this and all, it's just the best time ever. I look, and it's so great to have this documentary. It brings it all back.
Kathy, didn't you once consider hiring Gina for the text tones, but were not impressed by the overalls?
Well, she came to meet us, and all we did, like I used to joke, like I feel like I could. It was like a blind date when you when you'd meet somebody on Music Connection or The Recycler, which was like the classified ads, or if you were like trying to get somebody in your band, I would joke like, all I'd have to do is like say, what kind of shoes are you wearing, you know, before you.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gina came over, and we were just like, we just thought she was kind of like, didn't have the image or the look. Didn't even occur to me. Like the Gogos were so smart just to listen to her play. I mean, difference. But speaking of styling, one thing popped out in the video, in the doc to me, was Charlotte early on rehearsal, and the punk band, newly in the punk band at the rehearsal, with a fucking visor.
Yeah, what was that? I don't even know. Jeff and I were looking at that. I'm like, what is that? I don't remember that.
Tennis mom.
Hey.
Yes, I love that. I was like, there's Charlotte and her and I've never ever seen you wear a visor in my entire.
I don't recall that at all. That's just so weird.
Where did you get that visor, Charlotte?
Who knows? I never owned a visor. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't imagine you owning a visor.
I think you did own a visor.
No.
Do you know where I got
You
it from?
owned a visor. Where?
No offense to visor wearers.
Well, getting back to the favorite parts of the documentary, there's a lot of them, and I agree. Gina telling that story was mind-blowing. I was shocked, and I was very happy that you told it, actually, Gina. But when Kathy described each person in the band and like how we could have been nicer to them for the varying reasons, I was like, damn, it was so, I don't know how you came up with that. And I mean, first of all, the analysis was so spot on, and then secondly, the way you said it was like, if I didn't know better, I would have thought you were reading a script. I know you weren't. It was totally off the cuff, but that was amazing. Kathy Valentine.
Well,
that's one of my favorite moments from Kathy too.
Hindsight is always a lot clearer. And, you know, it just touches on the fact that people talk about the egos and the money and the drugs, but really it all falls under one big umbrella that we just weren't real mature individuals. You know, you don't have to grow up in a band. You basically have a babysitter with you all the time telling you where to be, what time to be there. Here's a car picking you up, taking you there, and you get someone paying your bills. I mean, it's like, while other normal people, civilians, are like learning how to function in the world, we're just like, we're not having to do that. We didn't have to grow up. And so all the difficult things that happened to us, we just didn't have the maturity to match it, you know, to deal with it. So, you know, I think it's just hindsight looking back. And I do want to also say, I freaked out. Allison, I don't know where you got this, but that shot with Jane, like looking, like her little face, like, like looking up at the concert when you're like, like right I don't know who was. Do you remember that show, Jane?
No.
Oh my God.
We couldn't believe it when we were going through that footage, and we're like, oh my God, there's Jane.
It was so good. It was great. Perfect.
It just showed like how it showed you right at this crystal moment of like just being completely enamored and sucked in, and it was really an amazing thing to
You
have.
look like you were 12 years old, Jane. You look like a little kid. Baby face.
We were talking about that today, but when we started the band, we were all like 19, and we thought, in our minds, we thought we were grown-ups, but God damn, we were babies. 19 is young.
Yeah.
I feel like we still haven't grown up all that much. When I'm my age, I think of my age, I'm like, who is that person? Because it's not me. That person's in their 60s. That is cracked. I don't feel that way at all, you know? I just don't think that way.
Well, let me ask you guys, how did you feel about seeing your former bandmates, the people who didn't make it into the Beauty and the Beat Gogos, and then also seeing Ginger? Because they had some of the most tender moments on screen, because it seemed to me 40 years later like they still are a little bit hurt about not being in the Gogos, the Pete Bests of the world kind of thing, right? And then also Ginger, you know, when you guys get big and she leaves her post because she felt, you know, attacked by all the vultures, the other managers who are descending. Did you guys know they were going to participate? Are you still friends with them? How'd that go down?
Well,
Ginger broke my heart. She broke I'm sorry, Shar, I didn't want to interrupt.
Go ahead.
No, when I saw that in her in the documentary, I almost burst into tears. I felt and still feel horrible about the way that was handled. And I talked to Ginger since the documentary came out and since she watched it. And she told me so many things that I had no idea of what was going on behind the scenes with that jerk manager. No, let me take it back. Well, we had we weren't getting the best advice with the people surrounding us, which started with our lawyer at the time. Okay. So there was so much going on behind the scenes, and now it makes complete sense why she left. But I said, Ginger, why didn't you tell everybody? We loved you. We still love you. All we wanted was somebody to just help out. You know what I mean? Help out, because you were like the sixth Go-Go. And it's just kind of crushing when I see that now. And I'm glad that we were all talking about this, because she was a heart and soul of that band. She left and things changed dramatically.
We want her to leave. Nobody wanted her to leave.
No one wanted that. Yeah. But I did want to say about Margot and Alyssa, it's like, I was so happy that they agreed to be interviewed. And although their tenure in the band wasn't long, it was important because they were there, they were part of it. And and I felt moved by what they said. But in retrospect, honestly, just the way the band unfolded once Kathy got in the band, Gina was solid, and that it was so obvious to me that it was meant to be this way. And the fact that we're here 40 years later, and Kathy's, songwriting abilities and her personality, we were enamored with her when we got her in the band. She was like the only one of us that had been in the limo, and we were so, oh my God, look at that. She's a rock star. And it was just it's really obvious. Obvious that we made these hard decisions, but they were the right decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I wanted to ask about something, Jane. When we spoke recently, you mentioned that you feel like the Gogos were being forgotten, that you feel like the Gogos are being written out of music history, and that has stayed with me for the past week. And I was reminded of it again this morning when a listener on my morning show tweeted to me, and he said that his 21-year-old daughter wasn't initially interested in watching the Gogos documentary with him, but he put it on, and she came in the room and said, oh wow, they were an all-girl band. And she sat down, 21 years old, was absolutely engrossed, watched the whole thing, and is now a Gogos fan. So I was wondering, going back to that you feel that the Gogos are being written out of music history, why do you think it happened that the Gogos, why do you think it is that you're not as remembered and as revered as, say, Hart or Joan Jett or Stevie Nicks? And I'm not saying that. You were the one who said that when we spoke last time. And I just was wondering what made you feel that way.
Well, I think the way I feel like that way is because it's true. I mean, we've been watching for decades, women in rock, the all women issue, and girls who rock. And most of the time they don't even mention us. And I believe it's true, but I'm not exactly sure why it's happened. I think probably a lot of people are still intimidated by the idea of an all-female band. And I think because our basic image to the world was of sparkly, bubbly girls next door, that later on it was easy for newer journalists and stuff to just dismiss us. So, I mean, and that's why, like, this doc for all of us, it's so vindicating. I mean, it's like, here it is. It's proof. We do matter. And, you know, I don't mean to sound insecure, but it's hard when history goes on and you feel like it's being changed and you're not in it anymore. So, you know, we have to have a lot of props for Alison because of that.
Yeah.
Well, I just told the story that you guys lived. I mean, that was what was so fun and in many ways easy about it, because, you know, you had done all the hard work and had gone through all the growth, and you were finally at a place where you could talk about it, I think, in a way that that's healing, hopefully, for all of you. And I feel like that's sort of happened a bit. And, you know, why you're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is ridiculous. Like I told you guys, we were prepared in October to take those 4 references out of the film because I was sure you'd be inducted this year.
I was actually sure too. We read the names of the nominees and the inductees. We announced them live on my radio show, and I was absolutely positive that I was going to be reading the Gogos. And when I didn't this year, I was just shocked. But, you know, it was coming off the Broadway musical, Janet Jackson ending her speech last year by saying, induct more women. What's there to quibble about when you've got a rock band that's all women? What is this, you know, people have been complaining about is hip hop rock and roll? Why is Biggie in the Hall of Fame? Why is Whitney Houston going in, you know, Beastie Boys? But here is the bread and butter of what a rock hall is.
There's nothing more rock and roll than, you know, a band organically coming together on the streets from a scene, nothing, and then taking it all the way to the top. There's nothing more rock and roll than that. And, you know, I think they add all that other stuff because it's really about tourists and things. But going back to what you and Jane were talking about, I mean, I know I've seen women writers that don't even uplift us, women writers that write about, you know, fierce women who rock and this and that, and they overlook us. So sometimes I just despaired. I thought, if our own sisters, you know, in the music industry don't lift us up, who the fuck can we count on? Thank God for Alison. Thank you, Alison.
Yes.
Well, Alison, but also Kathleen Hanna. And I loved, it was an inspired choice, I think, to have Kathleen Hanna in the movie, Alison, because you really drew a line from the Gogos to Riot Girls. And I think we all sit around saying, you know, Bikini Kill, so important, that whole 90s era when we have Hole and all the grunge goddesses that came about, right? You drew a line. I don't know if you did this on purpose, but I was really cheering that you drew a line from the Gogos to those groups, because I believe that I was one of those women watching, young girls, watching MTV at the time. And there isn't a Kathleen Hanna. There may not be a Courtney Love without a Gogos.
Yeah, now Courtney would have said the same thing too. I mean, I think
Courtney was a huge fan.
That they really understood what you guys were about. And they also got the subterfuge in your lyrics, which a lot of people don't get, I think. They hear the bubbly more sound of it and the catchy tune and not paying as much attention to the lyrics, which are really undercutting the tone of the song sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's Oh, sorry.
You guys, we are still that organic rock band to this day. I just say, anybody has any questions about that, come see us play live. We don't play the tapes. We don't have any, we don't have anybody behind the curtain playing an extra guitar or keyboards or any of that shit. Like, what you hear is us. There are no distractions, not fucking, fire coming up from each side of the stage. And, it's really all about watching the 5 girls up on that stage do what they do best. And
we're
still after all these years.
I was going to say, we're still so DIY that we've had tours where our stage set was literally paintings we would buy at thrift stores along the tour. And we decorate the whole
Love it.
goddamn stage with these freaky, horrible. Remember the painting of it was keyboards and it was ladies' fingers, but they had 6 fingers on each hand.
Yeah.
Remember that
So
painting?
great.
We found the
Where did all
weirdest
they
stuff.
go? Where did they all go, Jane? Where did they all go? I'd love to have one of those. That was one of my favorite ever little stage setups with those
I know.
crazy ass pictures.
Like, so how much more organic do you get than that?
I loved one of my favorite Charlotte. I never ever cease to be amazed when I see Charlotte in the eyes, because I didn't know about the eyes. I never saw the eyes, and you never really talked about it that much. You talk about your friend Joe all the time, but the whole time I knew you, I didn't know much about the eyes. And when I saw that first picture where you're like that, with the stockings, and I'm like, who is this woman? But one of my favorite parts in the documentary is when there's like, don't talk to me, and then it segues or cuts to Kathleen singing it, and knowing that
In the right key, by the way, which blew my mind. I was like, what the fuck? That was so cool. Yeah, I was really surprised.
Charlotte, your daughter does a cover of your song too, which I love that you made a punk rock baby, and then she grew up to this gorgeous girl doing your song.
Very cool.
Charlotte, you were so hot. You were hot, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
when I saw
certainly.
it, I didn't know that much about the eyes. I loved how you were singing. You were so punk rock, baby.
Yeah, and that when you had that other part in the doc, when you had the little shag haircut, like short with it's like I'm so used to you with long blonde hair.
Well, this is because I haven't been able to get a haircut because of the pandemic. So,
No, the whole time you had that, except in the very beginning of the Go-Go's, you had this little shag.
It was the helmet haircut. The platinum helmet.
I love the line of Charlotte when she says, I may look really straight, but my mind's very twisted.
Love that. Love
It's true.
that.
That was amazing. And how about Gina in a band with Ellen DeGeneres' brother?
Yeah.
That was
Don't
crazy. What?
I said, don't get you started on that.
Oh, God. Oh, no, wait. House of Shock. That was my band, and I met him through some other guy that I knew, and he was from New Orleans. And
Nolans.
so she used to come to our rehearsals all the time. And then she blew up. One of my favorite things about that, and when I see her, I want to tell her this, is that she said to me, I'll never forget, she said, Gina, if I make enough money, would you sell me your house? The fuck? She could buy 10 blocks in Studio City now. Fuck. She exploded, and she had just come into town. And Vance and I were writing a lot of songs together. He was a great bass player. That's great. Something to do after the Gogos broke up. I was dying. But Kathy and I tried working together, and, we brought in different singers. Anyway, it just worked out where I wound up singing and writing with Vance, and it was lucky and great to get a record deal. Be lucky like that.
Well, I get to talk to you guys for the next 2 hours because I just have so much to say, and I love you so much. And thank you, Belinda, for letting me be Belinda tonight. But I have a few questions from fans, and I wanted to start with one from my fellow First Wave host, Larry the Duck. You may remember him from WLIR in New York, alternative station that supported.
I remember that station, yeah.
Totally from the beginning. Larry says, I watched the documentary in its entirety on Showtime last night. I loved it. Great job, Alison. Here's my question. I noticed in the Rock in Rio concert segment that one of the members of the band, I think Charlotte, got kicked out of Ozzy's dressing room by Ozzy. What exactly did she say and do to get kicked out by Ozzy Osbourne?
Well, I was under the influence. Maybe a little too much. I was completely fucking out of control. And so that gives a good gauge of where I was. That was my bottom right there. And weeks after that, like a couple weeks after that, I was in rehab. So there you go. Thank you, Ozzy.
All right. Well, Emily from Minneapolis, let's see, wants to know, how did everyone feel before the documentary versus after seeing it about each other. And I think maybe what she's getting at is has the band relationship changed at all?
It definitely changed. It changed for me because I was so fucking proud of these girls. Oh my God, watching that movie, I was like, I want to marry all of them. I love them so much. They're so great. And sometimes because we're like sisters, we like pick at each other, and you know, I get like all bitchy or whatever, and then I'm like, oh, why am I doing that? And then, but you see this movie and you're like, holy shit, these girls are amazing. And I really believe that. And I love, if I ever feel like annoyed at the Gogos again, I'm just gonna go watch the damn documentary again and fall in love with them all over again.
Jane, we've all been married for over 40 years. What do you mean?
I know. It's insane.
I mean, think about it. You've been in a relationship longer with anybody else?
And no.
Right.
I think that all the things I wanted the documentary to do ended up being secondary to what it did do, which I didn't expect, which was facilitate a healing and a forgiveness that I didn't know still needed to happen. And it was such an unexpected gift because I wanted it to celebrate us. I wanted to uplift our achievements and show some of the fun and the joy besides the drama. And I wanted all that, but what I didn't expect or even think to want was that it would heal us. And it's been a real gift.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know that when you sent us the rough cut, Alison, you asked us to watch it in its entirety and take it in, which is exactly, because I'm good at following directions. I like to do that. So I did it. And at the end of it, first of all, I felt like I was just watching this incredible story. I forgot that it was like, I was part of this, you know, because it was told so beautifully. But at the end of it, I had this, it was a physical feeling of this gushing, warm love to each of the girls and to you, Alison. And it was like something I hadn't felt in a really long time, you know, because of all the little, the stuff that happened and things we didn't resolve. And Kathy, I agree, there was stuff, you know, unresolved stuff that maybe we weren't even aware of. And we've tried to work through things, but man, this is what pushed us over. Like, it really showed us something. And I think everyone walked away with that feeling of like, wow, you know, we were just blown away.
That's why it's so important that you watch it all the way through, because you can get hung up on a little thing that happens and then not be able to relax until you see it get resolved, because there are things that are set up and that do pay off later. And there's real character growth. You see you guys grow both as people, as musicians, as songwriters.
I love it when we're at, I love it when we're at the whiskey and we're playing, and you know, that's just so organic right there. And when we all fucked up, we got the beat. It was so genius. And I was laughing so hard. I saw it again the other night. Oh God, so classic.
I was nervous you guys were going to tell me to take that out.
No way.
No.
My favorite, also what I loved about the whiskey thing was when we're sitting around looking at all of Gina's photos, and oh my God, still 30, 35 years later, to have the power to just practically make us pee ourselves laughing. I mean, that shit is funny. All the pictures of the clown family and the clown family giving birth, and I mean, that shit is funny, I think.
Jane, I'll wait till I put out my Gogos photo book. The clown family is going to have a prominent place in the book.
Very own chapter.
Now.
And how crazy is it that, like, I remember doing the clown family shots. I remember it so distinctly. I remember us making a plan, deciding, let's do the clown family, you know, getting high. And then everything, no, they have to be in our bras. Each clown has to only wear a bra.
Photos,
everything had to be just done the exact same way. And there was something about it always being the exact way. And somebody, John Worster asked on Twitter, did everyone bring their clown nose with them in their luggage, or did somebody just happen to supply the clown noses? And I'm going to take credit because I remember buying us all clown noses because we ourselves as the clown family. And one of my favorite things to do is go in truck stops and buy gifts for people. That was just I used to love doing that. So I remember seeing the clown noses and bringing them out, and that was I just remember it was so much fun. And thank God, Gina, you documented.
Yeah.
Kathy,
Yes,
Kathy,
yes.
you were so smart about that. Think about that. We took those noses, those big bulbous red clown noses, everywhere we went. There, I've got photos of us in the van, the 12-seater van going across. We had those noses on there, and they made it all the way over to England. We didn't lose our noses.
But
Everybody always.
but there were so many other times too, though. I mean, that's the part that made it in the movie. But like, remember when we were wood nymphs? We were in England making our third record, and the studio was in the middle of nowhere. We were running around the woods naked, and Gina was taking pictures of us, like peeking out from behind trees and stuff. Like shit like that would happen all the time with us. So
And it's the funniest thing is like everybody was always on board for everything. It wasn't like there wasn't one of us in the band that would go, oh no, I don't want to do that. You know,
No, we were up for it. Yeah.
do it. It was like everybody was on board.
Who was the main instigator?
we all were.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
We
figured.
all were. Kathy seemed, but I would say Kathy came up with the most like crazy skits, because we would have constant skits, like these little plays we performed for each other for years and years and years, and she was constantly coming up with new ones of those. We could make a whole movie of Gogos skits, actually.
We had to figure out how to entertain ourselves, especially on the tour bus. But the tour bus, we would go crazy, and so we would come up with all these things to
Like
do.
wise old
constantly
curtain.
entertain ourselves.
Yeah. Wise old curtain.
Giant-
woman
Wise
was
old
one of my
cat
favorites.
lady.
And
Giant baby,
bus surfing, bus disco. Oh,
the corner cleaners,
Love
corner
Canal.
cleaners.
The Love Canal. The Love Canal. Everybody would be in their bus, and somebody would take their turn walking down the aisle, and hands would come out and like grow walking down the Love Canal.
So silly.
Well, we're almost up at an hour, guys, and I have a few more questions from fans. Do you want a serious one? Do you want a not so serious one? Trying to gauge.
Just choose. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. Here comes from Sarah from Canada. Jane was very forthcoming about her recent diagnosis of bipolar, and I'm wondering what it was like for the other band members to hear about her later in life diagnosis and how it changed their relationship with her.
Well, when I heard that there was a diagnosis and Jane had been misdiagnosed all those decades, my heart broke, because I was like, wow, she survived that. She continued, she fought through it, and it only gave me so much more respect than I already have for her as a survivor of, and so I was so happy for her that that she was finally understanding what was going on in her brain, it's like, and it's just a really cool, very, very cool thing that happened.
Thank you, Char.
You're welcome, Jane. Sorry. Can't help it.
That answer threw me in the interview too. I have to say, I was like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. It was an amazing.
I know. I don't even know how that came up. It just popped out of my mouth. You're a good interviewer now.
But it's also so important, because you speaking out like that just makes so many people that watch it, feel like they're not a misfit or like there's something wrong with them. It's so important to take away stigma and to take away shame and take away, just make it like, if you could, your courage and talking about it has helped so many people.
And the same thing, it's like Jane, now, now mental health is becoming less of a stigma. And it's like when I was a heroin addict, it was such a stigma, but now it's an open conversation. So we made progress with that, and we're making progress with mental health. And I was so happy you did that. And I was so blown away. Yay.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that are on Twitter have been asking how Belinda received the documentary, since she isn't here to talk about it. Have you guys been in touch with her at all? Like, is there anything that you'd like to share that she felt about it, since she couldn't be here tonight?
She loved it.
She loved it. I spoke to her earlier this week. Actually, she just called while we were doing our call. But you know what? She loved it. She was really afraid at first of how she would be portrayed, like we all kind of were. And she said to me that she told, Allison that she was really nervous about it or something, and that she wanted to see it before it came out or whatever it was. And Allison said, no, you're just going to have to trust me. And Belinda said, and I just said, yeah, of course I'm going to have to trust you. And pleasantly surprised at the outcome. I mean,
Yeah.
There's not one goddamn thing wrong with that documentary. It is perfect. And it tells our story so beautifully and hits all the points that are important in a band, what goes on behind the scenes, what we are really like, the goofs that we are, that we get sad, we get upset. We're just like everybody else. And we're this family of 5 women that have survived over 40 years. There's a chemistry that we have on stage, but it's a lot more than that in this band,
Yeah.
She loved it.
And the comments are like burning up with people complimenting you and what a great job you did. And I honestly do hope that we see a Rock Hall nomination, and you will have played a big part in it because you have restored for a lot of people, I think, the importance of the Gogos. And you did it by just being honest and getting honest answers from them. I thank you. And I thank you guys for sticking together all these years. And I guess we should close with, if this pandemic ever ends, will we see you live again, guys?
Yes. We do have our dates rescheduled for next year, and we're just gonna keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully we'll get to play.
Scheduled for next summer, next June and July. So, oh my God, please let this thing be over. This is just, everybody's losing their mind. No, you never thought you'd be living through something like this, but we are all dying to get out there next year and play for our fans.
Please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, and pay attention to, we're almost all of us accessible, on social media, and you can keep up with everything. If anyone can get out there and play, we'll be doing it. So for sure.
And also, I'm just going to say it, vote on November 3rd.
Please
get everyone,
everyone
to vote.
Please.
Charlotte,
Please.
thank you.
Yeah.
Some parting words. I want to say, make sure you go and subscribe to the Gogos YouTube channel and click the bell to receive notifications when the Gogos release the Club Zero lyric video and official video, which are both coming soon. If you haven't seen the documentary yet, well, what the F are you waiting for? But no worries, there is still time. Subscribe to Showtime by August 15th and use this special promo code GOGOS, GOGOS, to receive 50% off of your first month after a 30-day free trial. And last but not least, Club Zero is available to stream everywhere right now.
Yay.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everybody. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Love
Thank
you
you,
guys.
Lori. Thank
Love you guys.
Lori.
Thank
you,
you,
Lori.
fans.
Bye,
Have a
Allison.
wonderful night.
Bye.
Thank you
Miss
for
you guys.
everyone for tuning in. Allison, you are fierce, and I'll see you guys next year on the road, I hope.
Thank you,
You
Lori.
got it.
Thanks, Lori.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye, guys. Love you. Love you.
Bye.